Who can resist the sweltering summer heat? Camping in a level 1 blizzard. 21 degrees Celsius. A biting cold wind swept over my face. A door-to-door immersive extreme cold survival experience. It will definitely cool your hot body. And I guess everyone's Yanzu Ye. He was lying in bed at the moment. Left foot on right foot. Phone battery, 43%. The unconventional Hunwong website managed to survive the heavy snowfall. The cold wind howled as we entered the mountains. Ice beads hung from the branches. Mist shrouds the forest. Each step, the crisp sound of footsteps crunching through snowflakes could be heard from the bottom of the chute. There was no one around for miles. Only the cold wind, mixed with heavy snow, raged through the forest. Abuse. In such a harsh natural environment, we need to find shelter quickly to avoid the brunt of the attack. And the tree lying in front of me. The century-old tree in the pavilion is quite nice. The broad roots resemble a wall, just enough to block some of the wind and snow. He then attacked the tree fiend with his axe. The most important thing right now is to tighten up the feelings that haven't been tightened enough. Good at coping with a gradually dropping temperature, under the attack of bad breath from not brushing teeth for 10 years. Soon the first fire of winter was ignited. While the firewood burned further, the Tang Emperor used the remaining branches, block off the area around the shelter. If there isn't enough raw materials, there are plenty of people in the forest with an axe in hand. There is no tree that cannot be conquered. Temperatures tens of degrees below zero. His hands were already red from the cold. If it weren't for this little fire for warmth, I'm afraid they won't be able to stretch out properly, despite the heavy snow continuing to fall. But Han Wong still patching up and mending his little home, an extremely rudimentary shelter. Even the old man would probably be quite impressed. The one thing that's never lacking in winter is water. The stainless steel cup was stuffed full. Then put it on the fire to burn, waiting for it to melt. Finally, I can sit down and rest for a while. He also brought a thermos with him when he went out this time. Pour in coffee and continue heating. A few minutes later, the cold king finally got to drink a hot beverage. After the body warms up. Next came the familiar small-scale soup tasting session. Heat the pan, pour in the canned goods, and stir slowly. Ensure even heating. Adding an egg increases the protein content. In the desolate wilderness, having such a calorie-rich dinner, that's truly extravagant. As night quietly falls, the King of Han hung a camping lamp in front of the door. After collecting enough dry firewood for the night, he then lay down in the drafty shelter. Prepare for the long, cold winter nights. I thought it wouldn't freeze at all. Unexpectedly, I woke up successfully the next day. There was no time to linger here. Han Wong turned around and embarked on his camping trip again. The snowflakes continued to fall. But none of this could stop his progress. After traversing 2.5 kilometers through the forest, a corset with a crooked neck caught his attention. After cutting off the suggestive branch next to it, we'll camp here tonight. Because there was no wind, it's just right to use the curtains to set up a simple tent. Compared to yesterday's drafty shelter, the equipment in front of us is quite well disguised. After it is secured, you can then transfer the bag inside. Then the same operation continued. Collect firewood for heating. A light swipe per pound. The flame of hope was successfully ignited. For years, without cold wind, camping trips can be much easier. Because of the ongoing activities, my body doesn't feel particularly cold. In this short time, he collected even more thick, dry firewood to further intensify the fire. The bark of nearby trees also makes excellent fuel. In the wild, you must learn to make the most of everything. Although this matter occurred in the dead of winter, but under the thick snow, still buried are lush, edible wild vegetables. The King of Han plundered a huge amount. Only then did they return to camp, completely satisfied. Today's methods of hemolysis are full of creativity. The tattoo is so obvious, it's like they're showing off their tattoos with their eyes closed. To keep the firewood burning, he also specially installed a windbreak wall next to it. Once everything is settled, now we can start preparing dinner. First, cut the wild vegetables into sections. Then put it in aluminum foil. Add 2 more eggs and you're done. Sprinkle with chili powder. 13. Spices and snowflake. After mixing thoroughly, pour oil into the pot. Then you can put it in and fry it. It was finished in a few bites. Wrap the potato inside the tinfoil. Roast half a gram in charcoal fire. Soon, the steaming hot ingredients were ready. Add salt to adjust the flavor. The cold king shoved mud into his mouth amidst the heavy snowfall. He ate them one by one without making a sound. Another night has arrived, in the blink of an eye. Fill the fire with dry wood. The survival challenge for the strong begins again. Perfect camping spot. Check. Middle of nowhere. Excellent. Great views. And you can catch dinner. Adulting Wilderness Edition. Quick, grab your phone. 55% battery should be fine. Let's relax. When everything gets frosty, this one-screen kingdom takes a big nap into this forgotten white void. Stomps, a wild human. It's Leo. He and the forest have an understanding. He's traveling light this time. Light being a mere 33 kilograms. So naturally, he bounces along like a caffeinated gazelle. First up, the tent. The trees already picked a spot, which is very considerate of them. Poles get clicked together. The tent blob slowly becomes a tent. As a professional, this is basically muscle memory. Every buckle gets buckled. He stabs the ground repeatedly with stakes. And boom, tiny house is ready. Gotta say, the view is legit. The river's right there. He could fish or not. But first, priorities make this tent less miserable. The main event, this all-important tiny furnace, needs assembly. Dio says he and this stove have been an item for 4 years. Out here, it's the only thing keeping him from becoming a human popsicle. Once the chimney is vaguely pipe-shaped, he threads it through the tent's special escape hatch for a perfect, non-asphyxiating hookup. But just in case, he's got to tie it down with guy lines, so it doesn't achieve liftoff. Next on the agenda, the great firewood hunt. Thankfully, the snow just started, so all the good branches haven't been hidden yet. This is child's play for Dio. He finds a beefy, arm-sized log to start. The tree never stood a chance against that saw. A few grunts later, Leo drags his wooden victim back to camp. It's a 2-night stand with nature, so he needs a borderline irresponsible amount of wood. Aside from the manual labor, it's not exactly rocket science. And right on cue, the weather remembers, it hates him. Leo starts turning big wood into small, burnable wood. This dead tree is now my office. He swung his axe, turning big logs into little logs, because a giant pile of firewood is basically a security blanket. After all that manual labor, the sun clocked out. Time to fire up the OL hotbox. The tiny flames danced, probably to stay warm themselves. Leo zipped up the tent and prepared to cook dinner. Survival usually implies suffering. Leo did not get that memo. If you ignored the whole wilderness thing and just watched him cook, you'd think this was a 5-star restaurant with a dirt floor. He inhaled it like a wild animal. Ah, the good life. With his energy bar refilled, his body went into comfort mode. He fluffed his survival pillow and gave the stove a midnight snack. Outside, a frozen wasteland. Inside, a balmy 16 degrees Celsius. Looks like a solid night of not freezing to death. And he's alive. The fire beast was still alive. Leo offered it a sacrifice of wood. Then, it was time to pour the sacred bean juice. Outside, 50 shades of grey. The sky dandruff continued. Breakfast of champions. Not really. Hot mush and a mug of pure ambition. Properly caffeinated, he braved the outdoors to stare at all the white stuff. Besides his chimney's smoke signals, the whole world had hit the pause button. Last night's victim, one innocent tree. Time to find another. So he went to argue with its neighbor. This was his version of a morning workout. Lumberjack, with a few mighty whacks. Leo now had a respectable pile of tree corpses. Next on the agenda, bothering fish. He sat upon his tiny throne and yeeted the line into the water. Beginner's luck. A very, very small fish took the bait. I am a fishing god. He thought. The fishing god caught nothing for the next hour. After an extended session of failure, he was now a human popsicle. Good thing the fire beast was still hungry. Into the warm tent, sat his glorious catch, one fish. And he is ridiculously proud. Time to mummify the little guy in foil. Let the stove work its magic. Haunted by a childhood fishbone incident, Leo eats with surgical precision. But this appetizer won't be enough. So, pasta to the rescue. Another rugged day in the books. Tomorrow, he packs up this whole operation and moves on to the next spot.